Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Paul Whitelaw, and I enjoy the great privilege of being the chair of the ICE, and it's my honour to welcome you to our VIPoE 2020, our virtual online conference. We started the conference with an activity yesterday with colleagues from iGraduate and HOSCO. And we've got activities organised for tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday and Friday evening. So we've got an action-packed week ahead of us. Under normal circumstances, we'd be doing this in the lovely autumnal weather in Buxton, being hosted by the University of Derby. So I'd like to just offer a quick shout out to Sarah and Catherine, Ewan and Iridi. Next year, we really look forward to catching up with you on site next year. So we certainly hope that COVID-19 will be well and truly behind us. I also acknowledge my colleagues from the board. We've got Ginke, Scott, Peter, who's also one of our Business Alliance partners, Lilibeth, John, Perry, and Christina. It's great to have you here. Welcome. And may I also acknowledge the great work of our executive team led by our CEO, Craig, and ably supported and led, I suspect, by Jane and Elise. And Elise is driving the technology, so thank you very much for doing that. We've got colleagues from right around the world this evening, Australia, the Philippines, the UK, the Netherlands, Middle East, Hong Kong. Brian King's in Hong Kong. It's great to have you all here, and we look forward to a really valuable and successful presentation this evening. Many of you will know that we had some very sad news a couple of weeks ago. A very dear colleague and friend of the ICE, Professor Philip Pearce, passed away quite suddenly. Philip was an active member of the ICE and very heavily involved with our auditing team. He'll be sadly missed, and I'm going to throw to Brian King, who's the chair of our auditors, to offer just a couple of reflections on Philip and Philip's contribution to the ICE. Brian?
Yeah, thanks, Paul, and welcome to all in the ICE family. It's good to be here. Thanks, Paul, for giving me the opportunity to just share a few thoughts about the recent passing of a very fine friend and dedicated member of the ICE assessment panel, Professor Philip Pearce. As you've mentioned, Paul, his death shocked us all because we were looking forward to many more years of professional and personal interactions with him. Now, many of you will know Philip, and many others may not, but he was Australia's first professor of tourism, and for over 30 years, all spent at James Cook University. He was a particularly marvellous mentor for PhD students who've gone to work all over the world. He's really one of the giants of tourism scholarship. Arguably really the most accomplished Australian tourism academic in history, and he has made major contributions to the literature on tourist behaviour, along with many other domains in his specialist area of tourism psychology. And you'll see some of the nice photos that are being shared. Philip had a lovely smile, very approachable professor, and this just gives a feeling for what he was like. I met him in 1987, so knew him for over 30 years, and he was involved in these very early years of the Council for what became Australasian Tourism Hospitality University Education. And we met many times through the years. Philip was always very, very thoughtful, and you immediately knew this was a professor because he always asked the most searching questions. He'd make the most interesting observations, But I must say that his depth of scholarship, which he got during his doctorate at Oxford University, he always presented it in a gentle way. So he was clearly a giant with depth of insight, but one of the reasons his PhD students loved him so much was that he really encouraged them. And as we all as educators try to do with our students, help them to dream about the future and just give them the confidence with their learning. I remember almost 1 year ago when we had our assessment panel meeting in Manila. Many of you will recall those days. He was joining us online, but he made a wonderful contribution to our discussions about the future of the ICE, of how we handle future assessments and so on. And I particularly mentioned Philip's. He was based at Townsville, which is quite a regional city in Australia, but he really, with his students, whether from Africa, Asia, or Australia, really opened them up to the global south, to developing countries, to the world. In just closing these comments, I must say personally, I always enjoyed Philip's company. We always had wonderful chats, and along with just being good buddies, mates, I always had the greatest respect for his scholarship and for his judgment and for his wisdom. He was a very, very fair-minded and kind man. And it's interesting that his son John, who's known as Jack, and also his widow Hira Octaviana, both of them, John's had in the early years, will continue with his legacy, making a contribution to tourism scholarship. We really treasured his engagement with the ICE, and we will greatly miss his wisdom, but I think we're all mortals, we'll all go eventually, and I think what we all need to do is take a little bit of wisdom, his wisdom, and share that with the next generations and amongst ourselves. So we've got wonderful memories of Philip, and we miss him a lot. And it just reminds us of the history of the ICE. And I'll just mention one final thing. I think it was the Hotel School The Hague. He certainly was involved in the recent auditing process in the Netherlands, and just a reminder of the really global reach of the ICE. So Paul, thank you for giving me the time, and looking forward to the end of this ICE session, and rest in peace, Philip.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, Vale, a wise mentor and a very, very dear and honourable and gentle friend. Okay, on with the business of the day. So before we get into our first speaker, I'd just like to pause for another moment and acknowledge our business alliance partners who provide considerable and valuable support to the ICE. iGraduate, Hosco, Lobster Inc., Heli, Peter Ryan, I can see your name there. The Russell Partnership, Peter Russell, I can see that you're there. And the STR Share. It's 3 a.m. for Steve Hood at the moment, so I suspect that's not quite the right hour of the day for him. But both Heli and the Russell Partnership will be running activities on Thursday, and STR will be running an activity on Friday. So they're great opportunities to for all of us to learn from our partners and develop up our skills, particularly in the area with Heli of higher education, the Russell Partnership with their online simulations, and STR Share with their industry data. I commend them to you.